Hey, this is my husband George, and he's never on social media. I'm just kidding. So I posted just
Social
lots.
media is the devil.
So I post a lot of stuff, or more than I usually do, this year because I am going through breast cancer treatment process, and I realized I never really have my husband in a video with me, and I was like, maybe that'd be kind of nice if I ask him some questions and he shares his experience as one of my awesome caretakers, because I'm so lovely to be taken care of.
Oh, so lovely.
So, I wanted to ask like questions, but also just like organically you come up with things you might think are nice to share with people. And yeah, so like the first question that I'll put on here that I have asked you is, what was the hardest experience for you up to now?
From all the events,
Yep.
I guess the hardest experience was the surgery.
Okay.
I think it's one of the times I think you were at your weakest, mentally and emotionally. And you were like crying like almost every other day.
Damn. Oh, it hurts. I'm just kidding. It's reality.
So it was.
I never cry. I'm just kidding. I cry like once a day at least.
At least once a day. But you know, like I mentioned before, I've gotten better to understanding what your crying meant. Like whether or not if it was a crying of you need me to do something, or you're crying that you just need me to be with you, or you're crying that you're actually happy. And so, you know, I learned to gauge between which item was. But yeah, but it was a very difficult couple weeks. I got no sleep, like no sleep.
All right. What has been the biggest learning curve for you as far as like a husband now in our marriage, like with this type of a challenge?
I don't know if I can say it on here.
Oh. Well, let's just be real. Let's try and keep it PG though, maybe.
Alright, fine. Well, I'm gonna say it anyways. Yeah, I always used to joke around and tell people, it's like, hey, you know you love somebody when you gotta wipe their butt. So, obviously, you know I love you.
Well, he's never had to do that. He's probably talking about when he had to like drain my drains after I had my double mastectomy, because it grossed me out so bad. Like hearing like someone squeeze. I'm sorry if you don't want to listen to this, I would stop. So you have to like pour the blood into a cup and like press it, and like the noise like triggered me, and I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. I mean, like for me, I wasn't really bothered too much by it, but I've never had to take care of somebody to that extent. So doing that, I realized, you know, it's pretty a big deal. And I think throughout the entire thing I realized I'm not necessarily doing it for me. I'm doing it for you, because I love you and I care for you. And like I say time and time and again, the thing that always kept me going is, if the roles were reversed, I can say with the utmost confidence that you'd be doing the same for me.
And I wouldn't mess up the hours that you... I'm just kidding.
Oh,
No, I'm throwing some deep shade right there. I'm just kidding.
We're sleep deprived.
Yeah, I know. What we're talking about is that I was like on a regimen to have medication so that certain like, what do you call it, like symptoms I wouldn't feel them. And he like forgot one, and I was like, oh, I think I felt really sick. And then he looked at his chart and he like forgot to give me medicine. It's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. Okay, what is something you think maybe might be helpful for like a couple who's gonna experience this?
You never know what you're capable of until you're faced with it and you have to do it. A lot of people always think that they couldn't do this or would be extremely hard. And not to make light of the situation or anything, but it's hard, but it's never as hard as it really seems. Here we are at the tail end of it all, and it's like, oh man, we're almost done, right? Well, I think we've started to get back a normal regiment, back into the normal pace of things. We went to dinner tonight, and for your mom's birthday, we went out to see a show. So I think it's just keeping that mindset of, yes, it's hard, it's going to be difficult, but you just keep pushing through, and eventually it's something you look back at. It's like, hey, we got through it all.
So I don't know if I heard you correctly. Initially, did you say it's not as hard as you think it is?
Well, what I mean by that is...
Because I would disagree.
Well, what I mean by that statement is it's hard. It is difficult and it's tough. But I think people jump into it with extreme fear because, all they're thinking about is how hard it's going to be, how difficult it's going to be, and how painful, or whatever the case may be. I'm not taking any light away from it, because it is painful, it is hard. But I think you can't let that fear distract you from knowing that you're going to be able to get through it.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the biggest things that helped me, at least, is I knew that this was going to be hard and difficult and life impacting and change, cause a lot of change. But in my mind, I refused to let it define exactly everything that was happening. And what I mean by that is I didn't let it, you can't let things fall because of this going on, right? Bills still need to be paid.
Discourage you from making any decisions. Is that what you mean? Okay.
Correct. I mean, bills still need to be paid. We got dogs that need to be walked. A bunch of other stuff that still all needs to happen. And you have to put it in your mind and say, look, eventually you're going to get through it. And you never get through it unless you go through it. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's something that you would tell another husband to do to prepare?
They're gonna be very needy. I'm just joking. No, but you were always needy.
Like
so
it is.
Yeah,
this is a terrible video. It's true.
Yes.
Let me just bite my tongue.
But no, it's it's good to go get help. And what I mean by that is, talking to people about it.
It's bubbling out of me.
Oh gosh. Like I'm a fairly reserved person, and I keep to myself on a lot of things. So that's just who I am and how I've been, and kind of how I dealt with this entire thing. But there have been times where I found it very beneficial to go to a group and talk to strangers, or just talk to people, and just open up about those types of things. And I found it very helpful. The wife made me do it a couple of times. But
it's like one of those things where you're like, oh, I want my husband to do this, and then they do it and they like it, and you're like trying to like contain your joy, but then you're like, oh, you fucking liked it. So what he's talking about is Gilda's Club. There's one here in Fort Lauderdale, and they have a calendar of events, and so they specifically had one for caretakers, and they had one for just men, whether you're going through cancer or you're a caretaker. And so he went to those and he liked them. So
yeah, no, it was pretty cool. I mean, they got peacocks and stuff walking around, and it was kind of, she's afraid of peacocks, but they were cool. But no, that was probably one of the good things.
The peacocks.
Yeah, the peacocks were good. They were great. The other piece too is, you have to have an understanding that you're always going to have a lot of people who are gonna want to say that they want to help you or genuinely want to help you. And it's natural human instinct, right? When you hear somebody's going through somebody tough, the common thing to say is like, oh, let me know if there's anything I can do. And, you know, some of it, sometimes there's really no true intention to do anything, but they feel that just saying that is helpful. And it is at times, but I think there's more to it in the sense that other people in the situation will feel or think that they have to say or do certain stuff or help out in some way because they, you know, it's something very impacting that's happening to somebody that they know or maybe even care about, and sometimes they feel helpless. And you're going to run into those situations where people are going to want to help, but sometimes they may make the situation worse, and that cloud the judgment or cloud the environment with their opinions, their thoughts, or you guys should do this, or you guys should try this, and so on and so forth. And it's fairly daunting on somebody who actually has to make the decision. And it's not just looking at something that they heard on TV or read in a magazine or whatever the case may be. It's they have to weigh the decision of medical professionals versus what their gut tells them, and so on and so forth. It's becomes very difficult when you have a bunch of other folks coming in and providing their opinions or their experiences or how they would handle it or so on and so forth. So I think it's important as a husband to, or even a caregiver in this case, is to try to not to block all that stuff away because you don't want to be rude, and some of the information is helpful, but it's important to first get with your partner or the person who's going through this, talk with them, decide what the plan is, establish all that stuff, and stick to it, and really avoid from allowing folks to deviate. And when you find people or people come in with their own opinions on what you should do and so on and so forth, you really got to thank you for it and you accept it, but you stick to the plan that you're doing if you feel that that's the right way you're supposed to be going. I believe it helps alleviate a lot of stress on the person actually going through the situation.
Okay, cool. What would you say you're most looking forward to near this ending of treatment for chemo?
For chemo? I would like to say that things get back to normal, but to me, I kind of feel like things have kind of always been like, I don't necessarily feel like, oh my gosh, there's been a huge change, other than when, after chemo, when you're very sick and you're in bed and so on and so forth.
Other than mostly every day. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But to me, it's not like, oh my gosh, this is just a horrible situation. I just can't wait to get things back to normal, whatever the case. Well, I mean, it's obviously I want things to get back, but I think the way we've handled it, and I think we've been fine.
Okay. I would only add to that your character is naturally pretty high up there as far as resiliency. So I wouldn't want anybody to hear you say that and then think oh, something's wrong with me because I'm not behaving like this husband or this caretaker. I think you also gotta look at people's natural character traits, and not everybody will feel that way. Not to devalue what you just said.
No. I am kind of one of those awesome people, so I guess
we gotta be humble there.
Humble, yeah.
Anyways. Is there anything else you want to say before I end this? Because it's getting to 15 minutes.
No one could ever be as awesome as I am. Totally awesome.
Oh
I'm just joking.
Gosh.
She's letting it get to my head.
Serious.
No.
So serious.
No. It's you live life. That's it. Things happen. You don't let circumstances dictate what happens. You keep pushing, and eventually it gets better. Eventually.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.